Let's look at question 6. This is practice 8, page 437. You have designed a new kind of exercise bike which you want to sell to retailers. Your advertising and startup cost will be $800,000. Each exercise bike will cost $120 to make. Sales of such bikes, demand, tend to follow a linear function modeled by S equals 80,000 minus 180p, where S is the number of bikes sold and P is the price of the bike in dollars. A, determine how many bikes you could sell at the price of. Now let's have a look at those. A, 1. Okay, we know that the total sales, 80,000 minus 180p. Okay, and for number 1, the selling price is 100. So when the selling price is 100, that's 80,000 minus 180 times 100. Okay, and that equals 62,000. Number 2 is the same. S equals 80,000 minus 180p, which is 80,000 minus 180 times 300, and that equals 26,000. And the last one, number 3, S equals 80,000 minus 180p, and that is 80,000 minus 180 times 500. Well, that number comes out to be minus 10,000, and you can't have sales of minus 10,000. So let's call that 0. In this case, that is equivalent to 0. Okay. The next one, B, we've seen this in the previous questions. It says use the linear function to write the revenue function for the sales of the bikes. So we've seen that. We know that revenue equals the price times the number of sales. So in our case, we are going to substitute this for S, and we're going to have the revenue function in terms of P. So it's P times 80,000 minus 180p. Let's look at C. C is write a function for the total cost of producing the bikes, the total cost. So the total cost would equal, okay, so we know that the startup costs were 800,000, so we can write that in. So it's 800,000. Okay, that's 800,000. So it's the 800,000 plus 120 for every bike that they make. So that would be 120 times S. We can rewrite that as 800,000 plus 120 times, we're going to take that from here, S is equal to that. So we're going to write that down as 80,000 minus 180p. Let's have a look at D. Now in D it says write a function for the profit you would make on producing the bikes. Well, profit will equal the revenue minus the costs. So we saw here our revenue was this. Okay, so it's that minus the costs, which is that. So that's P outside of 80,000 minus 180p minus the costs. You've got to be careful of that minus sign. That is outside of all of that. Okay, for question E, we're going to really need to tidy up this expression here. We'll have profit in terms of price. So let's do that. So we've got profit equals, we've got 800,000, that you go 80,000p minus 180 p squared minus 800,000 minus 120 times 80,000, and then minus 120 times minus 180p. That equals, let's see what we've got, like terms here. All right, so we've got, that's p, and this one's p. Okay, put those together. Okay, so let's put those together. Put the p squared in first. We've got minus 180p squared. Okay, and then we're going to resolve the b term, and that's a plus 101,600p. And the c term in this quadratic is that term and that term together, and that is minus 104 and 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's knock a zero off everything. We're going to equate this to zero. It says calculate what the price of the bike would be if you were to make no profit. So that's when the profit equals zero. So we put zero equals, and we'll knock a zero off all of these. Minus 18p squared plus 10160p minus 104 and 4 of these. And we have to find the value of p. And using our calculator, using the polyroots, we find that p equals 134.33 and 430.11. Okay, so we've got the solution there would be $134.33 and $430.11 would be the price that would guarantee a profit of zero. Now the next part of this question was to look at calculate the price that would ensure a maximum profit. Well, the maximum profit is between these two. These were the roots of the quadratic, so we know this is an upside down parabola, so we've got to find the midpoint between those two. Or again, we could just use minus b on 2a. Let's just find the midpoint of those two values. And the way that you find the midpoint is just add them together and divide by 2. So we got 134.33 plus 430.11 divided by 2, and that equals $282.22. And that's the price that you'd maximize the profits.